Some of the most successful people that I've met in my life are able to achieve at such a high level because they set up habits and routines for themselves that allow them to be consistent, repeatable, and accurate. During my over now 8 years of day trading, I've built up a repeatable daily trading routine that allows me to focus on what really matters and not trying to figure out what to do next. And most people don't know, if you just follow a simple routine, it becomes much easier to scale to those $3,000 to $4,000 profit days. All right, the last step that I'm going to show you in today's video is probably going to be the most critical, but in the past 2 to 3 months, I've refined my process down. I'm now on a 22 trade win streak. So this daily trading process that I follow is exactly what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to walk you through the exact steps of my daily trading routine. I'm going to show you all the trading framework and tools that I use, and I'm going to break down my last trading session step by step inside this framework and show you how I was able to follow it to be able to make over $4,000 in profit in just one day. So if that sounds good, make sure you hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you like trading and investing. Also check us out on Instagram and Discord. We have an amazing trading community. All right, so on my trading desk, I really have 4 primary things that I'm going to have pulled up at all times. The first is going to be my charting, which is trading view here. Second is going to be my Discord, where we're going to be looking at daily bias, and also where we're going to be looking at some analysis for the day and also finding some trade ideas as well. Third thing is going to be my trade tracker. This is going to be the framework of exactly what we're going to be doing throughout our trading session. You can sort of consider this a guiding hand to keep you in check and make sure you're following all your systematic checkpoints. One of the biggest mistakes that I made and a lot of traders make is sort of just jumping around randomly trying to find ideas to trade. The less variables you have in your process, the better. And this is going to be our guiding framework to make sure that we're staying on point and following all of our checkpoints. I'm going to be sharing this with you in the description of the video as well. And I'm also going to be showing you how you can customize this to exactly whatever your trading system is. Today, I'm going to be sharing just one of my trading strategies with you. Okay, and the fourth thing that I'm going to be pulling up is whatever exchange I'm trading on. Okay, if I'm trading cryptocurrency, typically that's going to be Bybit or Femex, but really whatever exchange you're using is also going to be one of the things that you're going to want to have pulled up. So once I have all my stuff set up, I'm going to hop into my trading desk here in Notion that once again I share with you in the description of the video. And I'm going to follow up my daily trade plan here. You can see I have my master trade log from the trades I took in the session I'm going to be covering. And then I have this sequential checklist with a pre-session checklist, regular trading session checklist, and I'm going to be following this outline of my pre-session, trading session, and my post-session checklist. Okay, so if we go into pre-session notes and load our pre-session template, this is going to give us a checklist of the things that we need to do. So first thing that we need to do is check on the news for important events. But let's start out with trading view. So once we're on our homepage, we can open up a new tab here. You'll see an area that says economic news. And if we click on this, this is going to show us all the important economic news that's going on for the day. All right, I'm going to be showing you the trading session from the 12th, and you can see there's a lot of economic events. What I like to do is check this only high importance box, which is going to show me the things that are traditionally going to move the markets a lot. And then based on this is going to determine whether we are able to take trades or not. So on the 12th right here, we had something called PPI. So there is going to be a little catalyst in the morning to sort of move the market. Anytime this is happening, I'm going to want to be a little bit more cautious and wait slightly later into my session for things to sort of shake out and pick a direction. And I'll explain a little bit more when we get into the charts. But really what I'm doing is getting a look at what big things are going to move the market. So now that we have an idea of what the economic news is for the day, next thing that we're going to do is check the daily bias on the Discord and also do our analysis to see how those two things communicate. Okay, so here on the 12th, the general sentiment was to the down direction. So that's going to tie into the other analysis that I do, where I'm picking my overall direction for the day. And you can see right now, John is actually doing a class with some of the private members on our trading team. Okay, so once we have that daily bias, what I'm going to do is go over into our macro pair, which is Bitcoin, and I'm going to do further analysis on the daily time frame to see how that aligns with the economic news in the daily bias. So what I like to do is something called Elliott wave theory, where basically I look at, based on the current trend that we're in, what wave we're in out of a 5-wave pattern. So if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, typically these patterns end up flipping and doing something called an ABC correction. And there's different ways that I can look at this move. Okay, I'm going to put a link to another video if you want to watch it after to learn a little bit more about Elliott wave theory. But essentially at this point, what I'm looking at is a break of this current trend where we see this low, this low, this low being broken and a new structure being formed to the downside, which is now going to allow me to play this current piece of movement. And based off of this 5-wave pattern, I can look at where I think the market is going to move for that day. Okay, so in this situation, you can see I do have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we got the first push up in A right at the beginning of our trading session, which leads me to believe that we could have a little bit further of a push up followed by a sell-off later into the day, and then a continued continuation into the later session. Okay, and even though I'm reviewing the trading session from the 12th, okay, I did this all in real time and recorded it. So this isn't me just saying after the fact what I saw. I'm showing you exactly what I thought and how that led to my trading decisions moving into the trading session. But to make it really simple, I was anticipating a slight move to the upside, followed by a little bit of a sell-off into the later session. All right, so once we have our trading tools set up, the next thing that we're going to do is go back into the Discord and check for something called smart alerts. It's basically us algorithmically coding all of the trade setups that we've been able to deep backtest over tons and tons of data to spit out trade ideas on various systems. We're going to be continuing to work and develop on new systems. This is something that we share with you guys completely for free inside the Discord, so you can take all the tools, all the things I'm showing, and start applying this yourself to have the proof of concept and start trading yourself. All right, so considering I'm not taking any trades until after around 11 to 11:30, I'm going to be watching for trade ideas that come in after that time. And so I'm going to go to the current day and see all of the trade ideas that come in that can help assist me in finding different pairs to trade. Okay, and the final thing that I'm going to do is start adding those things to a watch list. So what I'm going to do is go over to my trading view. I'm going to click on this tab right here, and you'll see I've created all of these subcategories where I can organize different types of trading ideas. So for this trading session, I had evaluated that I wanted to watch AVAX and Solana as potential trades to follow for the day. So these are going to go over into my watch list for me to then watch. And now we're just watching the markets and waiting for our trading session checklist. Okay, so I can go into trading session. I'm going to pick the trading system that I'll be trading for the day. In this case, it's going to be the TCL. I'll click on that template button here, and you'll see now I have my checklist requirements for me to start taking trades on this system. So for the trading system I'm going to show to you today, the overall goal is to find a fresh push either up or down in the market. And then once we get that move, we're going to be using tools to find dips in the current trend to buy into to try to play continuations higher, which is going to allow us to simply follow the trend and make profit from buying into those dips and letting the market continue into the session. So for this trading system, I have an indicator added onto my chart called the Innovatrade Foundation indicator. That's also going to be in the trading suite of the description. Okay, I talk about this in a lot of videos. So basically we have a 20, a 50, and a 200-day moving average, as well as this gray section, which is going to show us where the New York stock market opens. You'll see my first checkpoint here is marking the New York session high and low and waiting for a break on either side of that. Right, so as I play this forward, you'll see this gray zone starts to develop. And as soon as this gray session ends, this is where I'm going to start watching for potential trade setups. So we're marking the New York session high and low. Okay, so now we have the high and lows of the session checked off. At this point, we've already checked smart alerts, and we're now going to be waiting for a break of a high or low. So now at this point, we have our fresh high made. And once again, a lot of these pairs are going to look pretty similar. So what I like to do is if I'm watching, say, 3 or 4 different pairs that have all roughly the same move, I'm going to want to use this criteria to see which setup is probably going to be the best. And one of the biggest things that I'm looking for is something called choppy price action. And basically what this is staying away from moves like this where we hardly have any sideways chop and it's just sort of a straight line up. And instead we have more gradual sideways chop back and forth price action. This is exactly what I'm looking for with this specific trading system. Okay, so this trend is moving nicely and is fitting all of my system requirements. And in order to play the continuation to the upside, the next thing that I'm doing is waiting for a pullback in the market to match up with my Fibonacci. So now there's a few things that I want to wait for in order to allow this trend to pull down and play into the continuation. So I'm waiting for all of my moving averages, my 20, my 50, and 200 to all be aimed green, broke out of our high of the New York session. Now I'm going to be using this Fibonacci tool, starting from this high point down to the most recent low on the trend to set up my entry, my first dip buy, second dip buy, stop loss, and take profit. If you want to add this to your own chart, you can click on the Fibonacci, add these settings, and then go ahead and save this as a template. We use some tools to trade here. So once again, the description of the video is going to have the trader suite, which is going to give you all of these tools. But then you have your first entry, your limit 1, limit 2, your stop loss and take profits, as well as your account size that you can input, and it's going to auto adjust all of the quantities for you. So once we have our trade idea set up, we're going to input the orders based on our calculator. And then once this is set up, all we have to do is sit back and allow this trade to come to fruition. Okay, so you'll see price comes down, gets us filled on our first dip buy level. Now in this situation, we continue moving to the downside. So we get another another dip buy value here. All right, and the reason why we set up these dip buy levels the way we do, and the reason why we use this calculator, is because this is going to automatically calculate readjustments of your take profit and your stop loss. So when we first enter our position right here, you can see our take profit is going to be up at this 1.272 level. When the price comes down and fills our second dip buy level, now all of a sudden our average price is going to drop somewhere down around here, and now our new take profit is going to be right at this level. Now, considering I've tracked a bunch of these trades so far, I know statistically is I'll get my second dip buy level filled, and I'll actually try to take profit up at my full take profit zone. Okay, but if we're just following the regular system, now my take profit would move right to this level, my stop loss stays the same. Theoretically, if this would move up just a little bit back up to here and say it continues to move to the downside, that's going to still get me out for full profit. So we'll play this trade forward. We almost get our secondary dip buy level, but we just miss it, and then the price explodes way higher, almost comes up to our full take profit, and I end up taking the trade off right around here and closing out my first trade for about $1,300. You'll see from entry to take profit, this took me just around 1 hour to do. Okay, I have tons of videos talking about this in detail. I'm going to link a really good one explaining the video here. Okay, we can get a lot more of the details about how to actually execute this. But this video is more about the daily routine that I follow. Okay, so in and out in 1 hour. So now we've successfully managed our trade. And now all we have to do is input this into our tracker, which you can see is done here. So we have our date input, we have the day we took it, the coin, the system type, the time frame, which you can see is a 3-minute frequency, whether it was a long or short position, as well as the win status, which level we took profit on, and the total P&L. And this tracker can be modified to any trading system that you're using. All right, so now let's take a look at me trading this in real time. So you'll see I have my Fibonacci's drawn right here. You'll notice we're in our first position at this dip buy level. You see I'm checking off the system requirements as I go. We get our first dip buy level hit. You'll see even off of a small turnaround, we're already up around $300 on this trade. And the price trades down, bounces off our lower EMA, and then it starts to move to the upside. So now we're breaking up close to our full take profit zone. We're up $700. Okay, now we're up $1,300, and we close the trade out for right around $1,200 as this moves back into momentum and back into our full take profit. All right, and the cool way I've set this journal up is I can actually hit next setup. This is going to repopulate the same exact routine that I can follow each time I take a trade. So this is the second trade setup that I took on Solana. I have a downward trend that I'm playing into right there. This is a little bit less choppy than I ideally would have hoped for, but it was a little bit later into the trading session, so it was going to be less volatility, which I was okay with. So now the price came back up, tested our secondary limit order. Notice how far this trended in the opposite direction and filled our second limit. This is why I normally stay away from these setups. Then we have our secondary limit filled. The price starts to move down in my direction, up around $1,000 on that trade. Then finally starts dropping down lower. We're up around $1,700, and we get closed out fully on the Solana short after fees for $1,283. So once again, on that setup, we had the mark of the New York session high or low broken. Okay, we had 2 out of the 3 confluences hit. We set up the orders, managed the trade successfully, and then we input this into the trade tracker and got ready for the next trade setup. So during each trading session, I like to end my day right around 4 p.m. This is when the New York stock market closes. And the reason I do this is because this is typically where the volatility starts to die, but also the market can get slightly unpredictable. And this window of time is going to allow me to do personal things. So this is a time where I can get away from the charts, go to the gym, do something active, eat something, sort of just have some fun with the day and be able to step away from the charts. One of the biggest things with trading is not being too obsessed with the process and giving yourself a little bit of space to breathe. This can be something really obsessive, and the goal is to be able to step away and still enjoy life and have your money essentially working for you. So the next thing that I'm going to do is starting around 8:30 p.m. I'm going to start my post-session breakdown. This is going to be making sure that all of my trades are not only tracked into my tracker, but are also screenshotted so that I can see and keep track of all the setups that I actually took. So the really good thing about Notion is I can open up this trade idea, and you can see I'll have the exact screenshot from the trade that I took so that I can look and start evaluating any deficiencies in my trades. All right, the goal is to get a bunch of these trades put together, find the commonalities between the winners and the losers, and be able to take away a lot of the losers and increase a lot of the winners. All right, and one thing that I will do is look for a third preferred trade to take right around this 8:30 to before I go to bed, because there is going to be some volatility into the London session open. So I can actually set a trade up overnight and then let it play out automatically by itself. Sometimes I don't like doing this because then you end up waking up and first thing that you're doing is being like, oh, how did the trade go? Not always the best idea, but in this situation, I did take one more trade idea on Solana. So I was trading this trend to the upside. So I was longing into this trend. We had our choppy price action. I set up my Fibonacci's with my take profit, my dip buy levels, and my stop loss. And you'll see price came down. So I got my entry zone right in here. Price almost came down and filled me on my secondary limit. And then we got a big turnaround in price. You'll notice as 3 a.m. hit, this is when the London session is going to open. This is where we'll get increased volatility. We ended up getting a big move up in our direction. We were up 1,600, 1,700, and got the push to close us out for full profit. This ended up being a $1,664 win for a $4,200 single trading session profit. Okay, so we look for the overnight trades. We make sure that we've screenshotted and added everything. And then next thing that we're going to be doing is looking for any added improvements. So for this trading session, if I were to look for any improvements, this trade was absolutely beautiful. Couldn't have been any better. Everything was really, really nicely done. And we took a nice clean profit on this. So that was a well done trade. For this sole trade, I probably should avoid trading price action that is as straight as it is here. So takeaways, make sure we're sticking with more choppy trends and don't force trades that aren't there. And the last sol long that I took, we had choppy price action, really nice casual move to the upside in a full profit trade, perfectly exited at our take profit. So I really only have one takeaway for my session that I'm going to add into my future sessions. And one of the biggest things that helps me do this is visualizing and practicing this exact process. Okay, so this is something that I usually do late at night, which is called back testing. This is where we go right onto TradingView and we use something called bar replay up here, which is going to allow us to go to any previous selected date or even a random bar, which is going to allow us to play these sessions forward, take the trades as we would in real time, and input this into our tracker, follow the daily routine. That way, if you do it for say 2 to 3 weeks, you can see the outcome that you would have. You get used to actually doing it. So when it comes to putting it into practice, you feel like you're a seasoned pro, you know exactly what to follow, and you're able to create that income generating machine for yourself. All right, what I try to do is provide as much value to you guys on YouTube, but I'm only scratching the surface of all the things that we focus on the private side of our trading team. Okay, where the focus of these members is really diving into learning all this in detail and putting these things into practice to build those income generating machines for themselves. Shout out to Bink, went 4 for 4 yesterday. One of the wins was with the smart alerts. KH on a 9 trade win streak. Eddie Huron working on a 7 out of 7 win streak so far. And the last thing that I like to do during my day, once I've back tested, set up my trades, if I'm going to take some overnight, is actually sitting down and planning my next day. And I don't even mean just with trading. I mean in general. Instead of scrolling on your phone for like 30 minutes before you go to sleep, if you just go into the reminders app and set up a sequential list of all of the things that you're going to do for the next day, what I find this does is allows me to wake up and immediately get to work on the first thing instead of having to once again make that decision of what to focus on, which oftentimes leads to me just sitting and being on my phone, sort of wasting a lot of time. And this may sound obvious, but doing this one thing makes a tremendous change in my productivity and efficiency for the next day. So I figured I would share that tip with you guys and sort of motivate you along the way. So all the resources that I share with you today in this video are going to be in the description of the video so you can start practicing yourself. There's tons of other videos that I put into the cards to show you more about this system specifically. All right, if you're still here and you appreciate the video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you like trading and investing. Let me know in the comments if you want other things added to this trade tracker as well, because I'll read through these and end up adding and updating what I've shared with you guys as well. That's all I have for this video. Until next time, I will see you all in the next one.